Hello, I'm Gerry Egan, a past president of the National Association of Equipment Leasing Brokers, and on behalf of the NAELB's Distance Learning Initiative, I want to welcome you to this inaugural online presentation. I'm honored to have been asked to make it, and I've been asked to speak in broad, general terms about us as independent brokers. Now, that's a bit of a tall order, because there's such a wide diversity of types and sizes of businesses within our organization. There's no one way to work or approach this business that's going to be appropriate or guarantee success for everyone. Your goals may be, and in all likelihood they are, considerably different from mine. We may be attracted to doing different types of transactions or be located in vastly different marketing environments. We may be at significantly different periods in our lives with different financial needs and family obligations. You may want to manage a much larger business organization than I do. I can assure you that I no longer want to. But as we'll see in the next few minutes, we couldn't be in a better business to encompass that kind of variety. So what I can say then is that there are certain things we do all have in common in terms of our opportunities and our roles as independent brokers, and specifically in the way we need to look at those opportunities and roles and understand them in order to get the most out of them. As independent equipment leasing brokers, you and I have been blessed with a wonderful and somewhat uncommon opportunity. We have the opportunity to earn a professional level income along with an unusually high degree of freedom in how we go about doing it. We can work the way we want to work, with the people we want to work with, and work on the kind of transactions we want to work on. Frankly, there are not too many folks who have that degree of freedom and flexibility in their jobs. And that's a big part of what makes it such a truly great opportunity. Some others that do have similar levels of income potential, freedom, and flexibility do include the highly paid professionals in the fields of accounting, law, medicine, architecture, and engineering. They also include independent brokers in other industries such as investments, insurance, real estate, international trade, and commodities. Those in the first group earn their opportunities through a disciplined commitment to a long, rigorous, and expensive course of study. Once their study is completed and they've passed the required entrance exams into their chosen profession, they have a pretty high assurance of financial security as long as they maintain appropriate standards of practice. But that second group is the one that most intrigues me. For the most part, the ones in that group earn their opportunities by being willing to stand on their own and put themselves on the line. For most in that group, there isn't a comparable level of educational or other barriers to entry into their business. But neither is their security as assured. Financial security for those in that group is affected very little by their prior education and is almost entirely determined by their individual, personal efforts on a day-to-day basis. They have no guarantees beyond what their own personal commitment guarantees them. That's the classic embodiment of the true spirit of entrepreneurship. With their primary resources being their own drive and discipline, they fill a valuable role in connecting buyers and sellers of a wide variety of goods and services. From the buyer's point of view, brokers take on the job of constant shopping and research, keeping up with the trends and the latest in product development. They offer convenient, ready, and impartial access to the very best and broadest assortment of solutions in diverse and rapidly shifting marketplaces. Their independent role carries and conveys a certain level of objectivity and confidence in the mind of savvy buyers. From the seller's point of view, they can offer the most economical path into diverse and far-flung markets. By relieving them of the burden of spending large sums marketing into small niches, they can allow specialty producers to operate and compete effectively. Because independent brokers do accept so much of the marketing risk and get paid on a performance basis, many producers can pay enough to attract a higher level of sales representation than they could otherwise afford to employ full-time. For brokers who are effectively able to represent those suppliers while at the same time effectively representing the needs of the buyers in the markets they serve, the financial rewards can be significant. And the good news is, that's the group that we're in. Now, the less good news is that achieving that balance between representing the needs of our buyers and our sellers, our lessees and our funders, isn't always an easy thing to do. But it is critical. For only by helping our lessees and our funders both reach their goals will we be able to realize those significant financial rewards for ourselves. Now, a simple and unfortunately all too common view of free markets is as an adversarial arena where in order for a buyer to win, a seller must lose, or vice versa. In other words, satisfaction or success for one party must come at the expense of the other. That's a zero-sum way of looking at business, and it's brokers who look at it that way who create the kind of suspicion and mistrust on the part of our lessees and our funders that too many of the rest of us have to work to overcome. But the fact is, all economic growth and expansion on both the macro and micro levels comes when both parties to trade realize benefits in excess of what they gave up. When they do, they're no longer just divvying up a pie, they're making a bigger pie. That's the definition of win-win, and that's the kind of results independent brokers are uniquely positioned to create. Win-win transaction thinking takes a big picture overview to be able to visualize. Zero-sum thinking tends to come from folks who are so enmeshed in their part of the transaction that they can't see that big picture overview, can't see the forest for the trees. It's the direct funder sales rep who's so enmeshed in what they've done in the past, he or she can't see a new opportunity opening up right before them. It's the lessee's financial manager who's so obsessed with short-term costs, he or she blindly passes on a profitable long-term opportunity. Worst of all, it's the broker who's so focused on a quick commission that he or she's desperately trying to match the wrong lessee with the wrong funder and trying to force the match by glossing over details on both sides. It's all so unnecessary. By definition, an independent broker should be free of such myopic limitations. As independent brokers, we're a step removed from the transaction, and that gives us a unique viewpoint, not just of the transaction, but of each of the parties to it. It's an outsider's view that they themselves can't have. Zero-sum thinking comes when people can't see beyond their horizon, when all they can see is that which they already know. It's the difference between what they visualize and what they actually see, between how they want things to be and what their past experience has been. Our very independence, that step that we're removed, that big picture overview that's unique to our position, our knowledge and experience that's outside of our customer's sphere of experience, is the tool, the benefit we bring to the transaction. A successful independent broker knows how to use it. A successful independent broker sells that tool. It becomes the tool the buyer, the vendor, or the funder uses to see the opportunity over the horizon. They see it once they come to appreciate our independence and come to see that independence as an extension of their own knowledge. Their viewpoint then is no longer limited just to what they've done before. Now they're ready to consider new terms and new options. Why is that so? Well, it's actually pretty fundamental. And many of you have heard me say before that selling is a matter of drawing word pictures in which our customers, whether they're lessees, vendors, or funders, in which our customers can see themselves. In order to be effective, our word picture must be vivid and animated, and they must not be simply self-portraits. That's the art of it. A good word picture is drawn from the salesperson's knowledge and experience, but tells the story in terms of the prospect. It makes the prospect the focal point of the story, and all the benefits of the story are described in terms of how they impact and affect the prospect. In order to make the story come alive, to help the prospect see himself or herself in the story, the word picture should have two elements. First, the action or result the story describes must be meaningful to the prospect. In other words, your story needs to be about benefits the prospect will recognize and appreciate, and that the prospect wants. This is where our product knowledge comes in, but it has nothing to do with rates, terms, conditions, programs, credit, or any other technical aspect of leasing. It has everything to do with how the equipment will benefit the prospect's business. If you don't know that, then you can't have used your product and technical knowledge to focus on a program that will help you deliver those benefits to your prospect. If you haven't done that, then your word picture isn't telling that benefit story, and you're not really selling at all. You're simply delivering numbers. The second element a vivid and animated word picture story should have, we might call scene or setting. This is where your prior experiences and, in particular, your independence as a broker comes into play. A powerful and effective way to make any important point with someone is to do so through a parable or an example from outside their own life. The reason is simple. We're most open to new ideas when we're relaxed. Generally speaking, we're most relaxed when we're away from the stresses of our daily grinds. Have you ever had a good business idea come to you in the middle of the night? Or how about on vacation? Most experts in human achievement recommend regular rest and renewal periods for exactly that reason. It's similar to what makes hypnosis so effective for so many things. In the relaxed state of hypnosis, the subject is freed from the routine pressures of their day-to-day lives. Freed from that, they more easily accept suggestions and new ideas. Now, I'm not saying we should be hypnotizing our prospects, but in effect, our word pictures should do something very similar. They should take our prospects outside of the pressures of their day-to-day routines and describe the benefits they're looking for by using examples that are just close enough to the prospects' lives to be recognizable, but different enough that they'll see them without the blinders and limitations of their own personal past experiences. In-house purchasing people and in-house salespeople have a difficult time with this. They're so enmeshed in doing the same things over and over and over again, it's difficult for them to visualize things they've not done before. Well, that's the good news. As independent brokers, we bring that outsider's perspective and different experience sets to the transaction. This is why, as independent brokers, we're more likely to do an effective job in shopping for a lessee than they could do for themselves, and why we're more likely to find opportunities for a funder that they themselves wouldn't be likely to find. Because we're outsiders, and because we have experiences dealing with a broader range of businesses, we should be able to, and to be successful we must, use that in painting a vivid and compelling scene or setting for our word picture selling story. Our independence, our independent experience outside of the customer's business is the very palette that we have as brokers with which to draw that kind of word picture. That's why it's so astounding to me when I see the lengths that some brokers go to in order to hide or mask the fact that they're only a broker. Only a broker? They're hiding from their greatest strength. Why would anyone do that? Well, I think it's really a two-part issue. And the first part is easily remedied. I think that's an unfortunate lack of, or at least an ineffective training in, what the value of their role could and should be. So that's easily remedied by exposure to programs like this one and other ones that the Distance Learning Initiative may release going forward. It's also remedied by attendance at regional and annual conferences, where brokers get to rub shoulders with more experienced and successful NAELB members, in ways that go far beyond what could be done through a presentation like this or in a classroom environment. Personal networking with successful peers is one of the most powerful training resources available to NAELB members. Learning from the experiences of others who have already faced what we are facing can dramatically shorten our own learning curves. In fact, failing to do so virtually ensures that we'll spend countless hours wrestling with issues that have already been tamed by others, and that we'll invest way too much of our valuable resources in reinventing the wheel. Now, exposure to other successful members will also help brokers who hide their role with the second part of the issue. That part is simply failing to use what's unique about themselves in an effective way. See, it's easy when we do start in this new business and we start learning all the new terms and methods of operation to get kind of caught up in the process of being a leasing broker. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying the process part of what we do isn't important. It's crucial, of course. We must be good at it. But the problem comes when we get caught up in process at the expense of personality. This is another balancing act we need to be good at as independent brokers. Remember, our greatest strength, the unique benefit we as independent brokers bring into the marketplace, is the fact that we're outsiders. It's that step removed that gives us the perspective we need to help our lessees and funders see the opportunities they're looking for, that give us the skills we need to draw those vivid word pictures. It's the very fact, then, that our background isn't necessarily their background that they need and depend on. So while we, by necessity, must be close to and good at the process parts of the business, it's crucial that we balance that with holding on to and using the experience and insights we brought with us from whatever it is we've done before. And here's the wonderful part. It really doesn't matter what that was. It only matters that we're able to use it in some way to maintain that outsider's perspective and to bring freshness and creativity into helping our less seasoned funders reach their goals. If you doubt it, look around at some of the most successful brokers you find. Why, just in recent years, past presidents of NAELB have included a former dentist and a former service station owner. I also know successful leasing brokers who had previously been police officers, clothing salespeople, and attorneys. Frequently, the long course of education required for entry into other professions can produce practitioners who, though supremely proficient in that profession, may lack any real familiarity or even an ability to relate effectively to those outside it. Because our business is not a difficult one to enter, without a single specific path for entry, it invites and encourages a broader range of personalities and people with a broader range of backgrounds. Because it doesn't require or even provide for a young age commitment to a specific course of education, many brokers enter it after they've had some maturing and real-world experiences. And that's what it is they're bringing to their clients and their transactions. By bringing the best of what they've done before into a field that rewards and encourages imagination and initiative and offers unlimited opportunities and financial rewards, those independent brokers who understand their role, who embrace it instead of hiding it, who sell it strongly, who take pride in it, and who use it to help their lessees, their vendors, and their funders reach their own goals, will enjoy a level of security and freedom unknown to most people. Now that's win-win, and I hope you'll be one of those brokers. I'm Gerry Egan. On behalf of the NAELB Distance Learning Initiative, thanks for watching.